Reading Uni weather.
Hi there, our weather news this week is the blizzard that has been affecting eastern portions of the USA. Life for some people have grinded to a halt in some states ranging from New York to Washington through to West Virginia, Maryland, and even a few inches of snowfall due to this system has been recorded down in the south in Mississippi and Louisiana. Now the problem is this snow system has affected densely populated areas. Now in terms of the impacts, there have been around 18 fatalities, and this is due to a combination of road traffic accidents and people shoveling the snow. Then in New York City there was a transport ban, so this affected millions. And then in this picture you should try and spot the aeroplanes. Because of a snowdrift we can see that the aeroplanes are pretty much buried. There have also been thousands left without power. But it's not all that bad. Some people have been embracing the snow. We've seen people in the streets skiing or snowboarding, and that sounds pretty fun to me. Now, how did the storm form? So if we take a look at this map, we can see there was a lot of warm, moist air that came in from the Gulf of Mexico, and this met with cold, dry air incoming from Canada. And what happened, due to these temperature differences and differences in air masses, this formed a low pressure system. So we had warm, moist air rising, and as the precipitation fell, it fell as snow because it was cold enough, and we've seen a lot of snow accumulations from this system. The snow system is actually called a nor'easter in the USA. So we've seen snowfall accumulations in Central Park of around 26 inches and in West Virginia of 40 inches. Now this picture shows people in Pennsylvania, and what happened is they got stuck due to the blizzard. They decided to build an altar made out of snow and had a mass at the side of the highway. And then this video went viral because a guy was trying to clear away the snow but dressed as a dinosaur. Now the worst part of the snowstorm is over in the USA, but now the storm system is tracking out towards the Atlantic and moving towards Europe. So what's going to happen for the UK is there's going to be a succession of weather fronts influencing the UK, and this is going to bring with them a lot of rainfall, strong winds, but for the lower ground there aren't really any chances for snow because it's just simply too warm at the moment. And we'll keep you updated more on this on Reading Uni Weather. Now over to Simon.
Thanks, Sabrina. Last year was Earth's warmest year on record, with a departure of 0.87 degrees from the 1951 to 1980 average, which beat the previous record by an astonishing 0.13 degrees, the second largest departure from a previous record ever observed. Visualising it then, we see that pretty much everywhere was well above normal, especially North America and Eurasia, but there was an interesting cool anomaly over the North Atlantic, which in fact ranked as record cold. And it's interesting to note that we can see a record cold value in a record warm year. Putting this into the perspective of the other years, we see that we're now about a degree above the temperatures that we saw in the late 19th century. And you can see just how far 2015 was above the previous record warm years in the last decade or so. Before 2015, we hadn't seen a single month go a degree above the 51 to 80 average, but then in the latter part of last year, we saw three, with October, November and December, all more than a degree above normal. December particularly of interest because the UK saw its warmest December on record. The top 5 warmest months were all in 2015, with December therein at number 1, but quite remarkable really. Why was it that 2015 was so warm? Well, aside from the ongoing warming due to increased levels of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, we saw one of the strongest El Niño events on record in the Pacific. Now, an El Niño event releases large quantities of stored oceanic heat up into the atmosphere, and this exaggerates the ongoing global warming trend. And this El Niño event is now forecast to weaken through 2016, reaching neutral or even La Niña conditions by the summer. But it's important to note that the peak warming influence of an El Niño is delayed by some 6 months from the event itself. So we expect 2016 to still be largely influenced by the warming effect of the current El Niño. In fact, the Met Office forecast 2016 to beat 2015 to the title of warmest year on record by about 0.09 degrees. But even if we go with their lower end estimate, we're looking at a roughly equally warm year. So, although it might not be record warm where you are, do expect to see some pretty toasty conditions during the year. That's all from me. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Reading Uni